Talk with Real Moms. I'm Darcy.
I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Alma. And as always, we are unscripted, unrehearsed. We are open books.
Sure are. We always are. Okay, so this was a really big topic that moms really wanted to touch on whenever we kind of polled what people wanted to hear on our Instagram and our TikTok. So we're really excited about this one. So does anyone want to explain what we're going to be talking about today?
I mean, I'll do it. A lot of moms were asking for us to talk about like becoming moms. So they asked us to talk about like pregnancy and deliveries and postpartum. So we're kind of just going to start from the beginning. We're going to start with pregnancy, where we all become moms, right? The good, the bad, and the ugly.
That's right. And I'm actually going to start a little before that, because my question that I have for you ladies, I guess initially I was like, oh, this is about pregnancy, but I think it's actually about a little before pregnancy. How do you feel about people asking women or couples, when are you going to have a baby? When are you going to give her a brother? When are you going to give her a sibling? Like, how do we feel about that?
So originally, before I ever got pregnant, I got that question a lot, and it didn't bother me at all, because I come from such like an old school Italian family that like from the moment that I was, a child, it was like basically saying like I was born to like give this family a grandchild. So like it was kind of just like instilled in my head. So like it never bothered me. It was more, I guess, the second time around when like I had already gone through the pregnancy and people are like, well, now when's Gia gonna get a little baby brother or sister? And now that bothers me more than prior to ever being pregnant.
I feel like people say that though. The second you pop out a kid, like the next week, they're like, when's number 2 coming? And you're like,
Alma, how many people
number 1? Like,
Alma, how many people ask you if you're gonna try for a girl?
Everybody's like, don't you want a girl? And I'm like, no.
You're like, no.
And I don't have
freedom, and I'm almost there.
My boys are some of like the only boys out of all our friends. All our friends have girls. So like my kids are good at Tea Party, and they're good at Barbies, and they're good at like that girl. But when it comes to girls, like I'm definitely a boy mom. And if I would have had a girl, it would have been fine. We just started to stop at 2, and we had 2 boys, and I love being a boy mom.
Good.
I love that.
I feel like I'm missing anything.
How do you feel about the before pregnancy, or the when are you going to give us babies, or this or that? Like, how do you feel about that question?
So I come from a big Mexican family, so a very similar to your Italian like family. Everybody's like, you get married, and like on your honeymoon, they're like, are you pregnant? Like,
absolutely.
Did you guys make a baby?
There's like no privacy.
No privacy. No. There's no privacy in my family. But like people ask that all the time, but we waited just a couple of years. We traveled and we did all that stuff. So we got it for a long time, and it didn't bother me so much. I think, like you, I think it bothered me more the second time, because I felt like I like pushed out a kid
you had just gone through a pretty traumatic experience.
Yeah.
And now people are wanting you to just hop right up and act like everything's normal, and that you didn't just experience like one of the hardest things of your lives.
I'm like, I'm a freaking zombie right now. Like, how do you want me to do another one?
Right. Exactly. I totally agree. Darcy, how do you feel about that?
Oh, same as you guys. When we got married, we were married for a couple of years before we had a baby. We were together for 6 years before we got married. So people asked us all the time, and it didn't bother me, because I would just say, whenever we're ready, whenever we're ready. And we did try for a year to have Kennedy, and it wasn't happening. So I wouldn't say we like super duper struggled, but, it was delayed more than we thought, but it didn't bother me. And now I get asked all the time about giving her a sibling, and we are not giving her a sibling. We cannot give her a sibling. So we are done. And I tell people that. So it doesn't bother me. I almost wonder though, and I guess it doesn't apply to us 3. So I'd be really interested to see if we could get some comments below about this. I wonder if it bothers people more when they are struggling. Like, if that's kind of if that's the only time it bothers somebody, or if it bothers people just like because people are nosy. Like, I wonder where that line is drawn toward, because I know some people think you should never ask a woman when she's going to have a baby, but I'm more sensitive to that now that I have friends that have struggled and are unable to have kids. But that's a good,
I was
thought
just
it
going to say
was
that.
a
I always
good
ask,
go-to question.
used to
Hi,
always
how are
ask,
you? Nice to meet you. Oh, how long have you guys been married? 2 years.
"When are you gonna have a baby?"
When do you have a baby? And it's just like a good conversational starter. Everyone, it's kind of
We have
universal.
so many. We have quite a few friends that struggled, and I literally use, on TikTok, people go, "What to tell people, what not to say to people who are like struggling getting pregnant," and I used every line. When people were talking, I'm like, I totally used every line. I'm like,
Oh,
let's
yeah.
just go on a vacation and get drunk, and it'll happen. Like, or when you start,
it'll all be okay. Don't worry about it. You'll get there. Like, yeah.
I didn't have any issues, and for some reason, I never felt that I was being disrespectful. But in the end, like later, I found out that it wasn't like the best.
You weren't being malicious.
And so I became more aware after, when I had friends who were struggling really, really bad. And they were super cool about it because we're really close. But when other people would ask, they would be like, they'd be like, I'm just tired of explaining it. Like, I don't want to explain that we're having trouble or that it's a problem.
And see, I didn't have trouble. Like, literally, we started trying in July and we were pregnant by August. So
So yeah, no one would want to hear your story if they're struggling.
Well, so that right there, like we talked about this, I think, in private, and that right there really made me feel like I didn't have the right to be able to complain about anything within my pregnancy, because it happened so quickly and easily for me that like anything other than becoming pregnant, like I didn't get the right to like feel comfortable complaining about. So that's not
right.
That had its own struggle for sure.
Okay, yeah, that's okay. Like, it's all okay. It's just as we grow up and we get older and we realize, I had kids really young compared to my friends, so I didn't know yet. Like, I didn't know yet if I could complain or not, or
people weren't going to listen to you if you complained, like, because no one understood where you were coming from at that point. If people don't understand where you're coming from until they are pregnant.
I think that's
and Lindsay,
my friends are now pregnant.
Oh, that's right.
I'm like,
told you. Well, and Lindsay, you made such a good point. You said you felt like you couldn't complain because you got pregnant so quickly and easily. But I almost wonder, or I think the opposite. I think when someone waits so long and wants it so much and has prayed for it and cried for it and everything, and then they have it and then they're miserable, they're like, I feel like they feel like they can't.
The same way.
So I never thought about that, Lindsay, that I never thought of the opposite of that like it happened so easily. So you feel like you can't complain because it has happened so easily. Yeah.
Well, I actually learned, like, I didn't even think anything of it until I started to be like, it happened so quickly and we really weren't ready for it. And it really scared me and made me nervous. And people are like, are you kidding me right now that you're actually like upset? And I'm like, well, yeah, but now
you're allowed to feel however you want.
Yeah, exactly. And like, it was like, yeah, actually I am, but now I'm definitely not going to let you know that, like,
yeah, that's a really good way to make someone feel very alone.
Yeah, it's very isolated. Absolutely. 100%. And like, we weren't, like, here's the thing is, like, by every other person's stories, it was going to take at least 3, 5. My mom, it took her a year for the first child. So that's what I was preparing for. I wasn't necessarily ready to get pregnant, but I was ready to start trying to get pregnant because I thought I had a year. I thought I had 6 months. I thought I had at least 3 months, and I was pregnant within the first 30 days.
Did you guys say, okay, from starting today, we're planning? Or see, I was more afraid of disappointment. How you said you were prepared to, like, for a 3 months, a year. I did not want to feel that disappointment. So I just
want to reiterate from past, I never jumped into the wanting to be a mother mode. Right. So the longer I had, the more secure I felt. Gotcha. So the fact that it happened within 30 days for me is almost like, it's comical in the sense of like that's my nightmare, because I was never really like
Right.
something inside of me, it was always expecting to never really be a mom.
Right.
When it's so unfair for someone to say like, oh, you can't complain, or you're so lucky and it shouldn't be your nightmare because it happened so quickly. Like, we are all so different.
Right.
And what is one person's nightmare is one
Yeah.
person's dream.
Right. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm so blessed right now that like we have Gia, and like I'm so thankful that that is something that's a part of my life. But it was very, like, that is scary to me. And I'm sure I'm probably going to get a lot of people who don't agree with what I'm saying or how I feel, because they prayed so hard for their children, however they came or didn't come. But like, it's still scary no matter which way you turn it, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't think you should have anybody, I mean, comment, that's fine if you do, but
Yeah.
I don't think you should have anybody that like disagrees with that. Like, again, I just think everyone's story is so different, you know?
Yeah.
You made some really
Absolutely.
good points. Like I said, some people's nightmare is someone's dream is someone's nightmare, and that's all okay.
I was really afraid to be disappointed. Like, I was really afraid to like plan and then that next month like get my period and be like, no, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Well, I had that fear. So what we did is we just like, I got off birth control and we're like, it'll happen when it happens. So
Yeah.
we just kept like that mindset, and I got pregnant pretty quickly, but like we had that mindset. I'm like, if it happens, if it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, we won't rush. We don't want to have like a date too. Maybe because my really good friend is like, she had a calendar. Like, she was going to get married by a certain age, have a baby by a certain age. And I didn't know.
You can't do that to yourself.
I felt like it was so stressful. And so, I was like, when it happens, it happens. And that's how I'm going to leave it, because I would rather set myself up for a surprise than like
Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing I did do is I got off of birth control like a year and a half before we even started trying. Not because I was cleansing my body. I had left my job to go back to school for court reporting and lost my insurance. So I just stopped taking birth control. But I did track my cycle for that reason. So like, when it did come to time, like, I was pretty aware of what my body was doing and like where we were, just because I was tracking for opposite reasons for a year. So now like I just, switched it over and was now tracking for this. So I play it off as if like I was super surprised, but we know that I'm a planner and an organizer, and like things have to go in a row for me. So if I was going to do it, I was probably going to do it right.
Right.
Joking, everybody. That was just a joke. Yeah. So, I mean, it really just like, it did fall into place, but it also like had like the building blocks in order to fall in place. So, but so I want to switch gears a little bit, you guys. Let's talk about like pregnancy in the workplace. Like, how were you affected or not affected by working your jobs while pregnant?
Mine was really easy. I sat down at a desk job. I did billing and insurance, and I worked in an office with like 5 surgeons. So like, they were all, there was like one woman, but mostly men, but they were all so nice, so understanding. So mine was ideal. It was great. I had a lot of like struggles with issues with my pregnancy, and I was throwing up so much that I passed out in the bathroom at work, and one of my coworkers, they found me, and they were, but so it was great for me. I didn't have any adjustments,
I love to hear that. I actually had a really tough go of it. So I worked for a corporate bank. I worked for a global bank, and at the time I was working in a group that I was the first person to get pregnant in that group. That group had only been in our center for about 5 years, so it was relatively new. And even my boss, who was a female, didn't necessarily understand what I was going through, because she had never been pregnant. And then on top of it, my specific group got cut in half. Like 2 out of the 4 people who do what I do quit their job when I was 3 months pregnant. So I was working 50-hour weeks, but on top of that, my commute was like an hour and a half to 2 hours a day. So my time and effort spent to work was like 60 hours a week, and I was growing a human. So it was insane.
That's so tough.
I swear, like I had a rough pregnancy and go of it for the sheer fact that probably like 90% of the fact that like because of work, I was taken out of work a month early. My heart rate was so elevated that my doctor was like, if you keep working, you're going to either stress you or your child out to the point of no return. So I had gone out on bed rest like a month early. Because
I did bed rest a month early, but had nothing to do with my work.
Right.
Like, mine
Well,
was just my
yeah,
health.
right. No, I think I was just under like stress from
Mhm.
the hours and the effort and everything else. But yeah, it wasn't great for me. So the good news is I work with a new group and they're mostly male,
Yay.
but every one of them has children. So I'm almost certain that they're gonna like have a better response to my pregnancy than the woman that I worked for,
Oh,
unfortunately.
yeah.
Which is
what's
wild.
funny is that if depending on the men that you're working with, but like if you ask, like I've seen like a lot of dads like posting about their wives and like how they watch them have a baby, and after watching somebody have a baby, they're like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I feel like men are more understanding and considerate because they don't know what we went through, but they've seen their wife do it. And I
Right.
feel like women, we compare each other like, oh, hers isn't as bad as mine, or
and I
she's
feel like
not having to do
they have to
this.
be super women. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That they are a little bit more understanding. Since I have two, my first one, I worked in the corporate office, but it was our office, so I had freedom if I was not feeling well. But I had a pretty easy first pregnancy. So I worked for most of it until I delivered, and then my second one, I was teaching spin classes and I was personal training, and so that I stopped teaching. I mean, I was like round on a bike. It was pretty comical.
Right. You worked out and coached throughout your whole pregnancy, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Like as I grew, I like had once I told like my students and like the people in the studio, I was like, you guys, I am not getting fat. I am like growing a baby. And
Oh my God. So I think I did tell you this, that there's like a center, like a fitness center where I work. And like every time I'd go in, like I would go in and walk. And I swear to you, every time I'd walk in to the center and like get on the treadmill, I would like look around to think like, it was like those awkward, like between like 3 and like 6 months where like you
where you don't know what
fat or pregnant.
Your belly.
And I would like look around and I'm like, how many people do you think I'm fat and how many people do you think I'm pregnant? Like it's so ridiculous that I ever thought that, but like
I had that beer, like that food baby belly, like the beer baby belly for like 5 months. Mm-hmm. And then like at like 21 or 22 weeks, like I finally looked pregnant and then I just exploded. Like I was just,
oh my God, me too.
I was from head to toe, I was just like round.
Yeah.
So Alma, so you worked out and did cycle throughout your whole pregnancy. Mm-hmm. What was that like? Did you get any like judgments or
cycle from when I started? So because I had been doing like the same thing for a really long time, my doctor didn't take me off of it. I was super healthy on it. I actually stopped earlier than expected just because of an injury that wouldn't heal. I pulled my hamstring. Not even riding. I pulled my hamstring because my son dropped a thing of Tide and I slipped. It just.
Oh no!
It could have had a better story. Like, so like I stopped working out at that point, but I could have gone till I delivered. It's just something that I was already doing. So when you're already active in a certain like workout, like if you're a runner or a cyclist or already lift weights or whatever the case may be, there's no reason to stop it unless obviously you have a pregnancy complication or anything like that. Yeah. So
well, I definitely am not active like that. So so I wouldn't know, but like, did you ever get judgment from like other, you did from
not from my students necessarily, because we had quite a few pregnant girls at the time in classes. And I feel like when you're already like in the fitness industry, you know what is okay and what's not okay as personal.
Right.
But there's a lot of people that were like, you're gonna have a miscarriage, you're going to hurt that baby, you're gonna fall off the bike or whatever the case may be. And I'm like, I know my body, I know how to take care of it. And
you're a professional. You taught cycle. You're a professional.
I see a doctor. Like I see my gynecologist, whatever, and she's like, hey, how's classes going? You know?
Yeah.
Right. And so Like,
my doctor probably wished I would do classes, but I did not.
yeah, obviously,
doctor-
if you get pregnant, you shouldn't be like take up running the next day. But like,
Right.
You know, it's funny, like
in that action, you do it. Like if you take walks every day and you get pregnant, go take walks every day.
when we chatted about this, I made it seem like, because we talked about this, I think a while back, just when we were together or something, and I made it seem like I didn't do anything when I like, I made it seem like I got pregnant and I was exhausted and I did nothing. That's a lie. I did work out. I actually, like, I started like because before I got pregnant, I was very into fitness, and then I like switched gears and I did a pregnancy workout, and I feel like because it's so less intense than any workout like that you would get, like any workout guide you would get as a non-pregnant person,
Right.
that I like literally like made myself believe like, oh, you didn't do anything.
Oh,
which,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
which
yeah,
is
yeah.
ridiculous because I did like I actually walked well into like 7 or 8 months. Like I did a lot of walking every day. I would go down to like my fitness center and I walk. It would very slow paces, very slow,
Right, but
because
still, that's great.
I was exhausted.
Right.
But I did do it. And then I did try like into my like second trimester as much as I could, but we also know that I was exhausted all the time.
Yeah.
But speaking of like exhaustion, what kind of like symptoms did you guys have, and like how'd you feel about like complaining about your symptoms, or like did you feel like, you know, you had tangible ones, or were they like hidden?
No, I had morning sickness, so I was vomiting hardcore, you know, until 12 weeks. So those were I got diagnosed with gestational diabetes at like 14, 15 weeks, which is very early.
Yeah.
So I had to take, you know, like 4 shots a day. So that because I was not feeling well and I worked at a doctor's office, and they were like, my mom had gestational diabetes, and so we knew I was at risk. And so we just happened, like one of the doctors was just like, let's take your blood sugar. And it was like in the 300s. Okay. And he was
so you never even had to do the glucose test?
No, because I was from 14, 15 weeks, I was on 4 shots a day, which sucked because I hate needles. But again,
there wasn't. Wait, you gotta take shots?
4 shots a day.
What?
Of insulin.
I failed my 1 hour one. I failed that one, and then I failed.
Wait, so I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I never even, I know people who have had gestational diabetes, but didn't know that they were taking shots.
You guys know how I am, and everything I do, it's like extreme. So I had extreme gestational diabetes. Like I just, it was so high and so, you know, like hard for me to control. So yeah, I was taking 4 shots a day.
Oh my.
And then like at 30 weeks, like I got diagnosed with preeclampsia, which is like,
oh, that's scary.
Unbearably, I know. Yes. So that's what, and like I said, my job was awesome. I got diagnosed with it super early. I was in the hospital all the time, but they were great about it. So if I had a horrible pregnancy, you know?
Yeah. Well, you know, that's the thing too, is I had a horrible pregnancy, but none of my symptoms were tangible. So I felt as if people didn't, like, they disregarded what I had like extreme migraines every single day. And like, I had told friends like about it. And then like, as Gia was turning like 1, I brought it up again, and they're like, oh, we never knew that happened to you, because it just wasn't something that like they grasped onto, because it wasn't something like having morning sickness or whatever else that they could see. So that was good enough, like, to them. Oh, well, you know, so-and-so had a really bad pregnancy because they had morning sickness for 12 weeks. Well, I had migraines for 40 weeks. So what's worse? I'd much rather throw up for 12 weeks than like have mind altering, vision altering migraines for all 40 weeks. I don't know. That's just me personally.
Not funny, but like I suffered from chronic migraines my entire life.
Yeah.
And it went away when I got pregnant.
No kidding.
Yeah. I got pregnant, and and since I've suffered with like all these hormone issues that I have, I'm really afraid that when all this balances out, that they're going to come back. Like that's like the biggest fear, is that they're going to come back, because I was on daily medication for them.
That's right. Did you ever get this pierced?
No, I didn't. But you know what? I've heard like mixed reviews
Yeah.
about it. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to go through like the pain of it. I'm kind of chicken. But if they do come back, it's definitely something I'm going to try before anything else.
The other thing I had was, did you have heartburn?
Oh my God.
I had such bad heartburn. I was taking 2 heartburn medication pills a day. And
That's part
I
of the
just
reason
remember,
big.
I remember
Yogurt had
after
the
giving
top.
birth to Gia, I got that like heartburn when you're pregnant is so different. And I got that same heartburn that like a month after I had given birth to Gia. And I literally I freaked out. I was like, this better not be my normal. Like, I cannot handle it.
It's awful. I used to sleep sitting up. So once I got like my recliner,
Me too.
and I would sleep in it because I felt like I was going to throw up in the middle of the night. And so was Gia born with a lot of hair? Okay.
So much hair.
Jake had so much hair.
No, but she also sat right here the entire pregnancy.
I don't even know where my baby sat because all of me was giant. So
I could feel her. She kicked my rib out.
Well, Jake was stuck in my ribs when I delivered him. But like, so for a long time he did live up in that area, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I know that we've talked about this, but like I had a really good first pregnancy, and then my second pregnancy, I had a lot of morning sickness. So like I popped Zofran like Skittles because I was on, like, I taught multiple classes a day. So like when you're on a bike and you're moving and you're pregnant and you have morning sickness, you just don't want to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to like. Do
you feel like
shit?
The working out attributed to having morning sickness, or do you think it would have happened either way?
I think it would happen either way, because regardless of working out or not, I mean, my first one, I worked out just as much, and I didn't have any at all. Like I had a great,
Well, I'm really looking forward to the second baby, because they always say like, oh, whatever happened on the first one, it's not going to be the same on the second one.
Well, people used to be like, you're having a girl because you're like sick. And I'm like, no, I'm actually having a boy. They're like, no, you're having a girl. I'm like,
oh, okay. Well, tell my ultrasound tech.
Exactly. But no, I would literally be on the bike and I'm like, please don't throw up. Please don't throw up.
Oh boy. Oh,
God.
That is rough too.
It was rough. And I think I was so close to like my students that I would be like, if I get off, like just keep going, because I
keep it on.
But I was eating like dairy. I was eating dairy, like cold cereal and frozen yogurt, because it helped keep that like vomiting acid down.
See, I had to eat carbs. I had to eat the carbs were the only thing that helped me with my heartburn. And so like I exploded. I gained like 45 pounds, 50 pounds in this.
Me too. 40 pounds.
Because I don't normally eat gluten. And then I ate a bunch of pasta and a bunch of like potatoes and rice and bread and anything that would stop my heartburn.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Oh, I loved that too. That was my favorite.
I gained like 60 pounds with Kennedy. Okay. And she was a month early. Like,
how big was she?
7.1. So not big. It was all me.
Gia was.
Can you expect to have a 40-pound baby?
I was like,
Gia was exactly
I gained 60 pounds. So Kennedy's probably 50 pounds. She wasn't.
She was 9.5 pounds, and Jaden was 8.8 pounds.
Hold on, wait. And Lindsay, how big was Gia?
Gia was exactly 8 pounds.
Aww.
Jeez.
That's a big girl.
And Alma, my God, those are huge babies.
Thank God that, didn't.
What I was saying is I failed my first glucose test, and then my second one, I passed the 3-hour one. But to be honest, I think I had gestational diabetes, and we didn't think about it until the other day. We were talking to somebody else about like pregnancy and gestational diabetes, and Jeremy goes, I really think you had gestational diabetes. I'm like, so did I, because my kids were giant.
So big, you didn't have to take those shots.
I didn't. I'm happy.
Yeah, my God.
I mean,
which I'm sure most people
think about 30 years ago, they probably didn't give anybody any gestational diabetes, anything, or this, or like, it was probably like further and few between. Like,
True.
I almost feel like, Lindsay, you were about to say like 30 years ago when Alma had her kids. I was like, what? What?
I aged.
Like, her boys are not that old.
Darcy, that came out of your mouth, not mine. For the record,
I was like, "What are you trying to say?"
Yeah. You said 30 years ago, everything was so different, and that they probably didn't even like treat half of what they treat these days.
100%.
And we're all, look at us, we all made it. We're all fine. So, Anyway,
So
guys,
speaking of time, what's our hot topic?
yeah, let's talk about, so I wanted to do something instead of a hot topic this week. I just really wanted to talk about something that you would potentially tell a pregnant woman or tell somebody to not tell a pregnant woman instead of doing a hot topic this week. What's something you keep away from?
Ooh, this could still be a hot topic. People could feel a certain way about this.
Yeah. So I think my one thing I would tell someone to never talk to a pregnant woman about is their size, whether they're saying, oh, look how big you are, or if they're saying, oh my goodness, you're 5 months, how are you that small? Either way, stick away from the topic 1000%, because you don't know whose feelings you're hurting, and you don't know that person who's afraid that their doctor has told them that they've gained too little weight and that you just spiked whatever anxiety that they have 1000%. So if you have the chance, just stay away from a pregnant woman's size in general.
I agree, but also just women in general, but especially pregnant women with especially pregnant women with our hormones and stuff. Yeah.
Well, not even that, but like, you don't know how many people ask me if I was having twins? Like,
the size of someone's belly should never be a thing.
Like, yes, I know I'm in the room, but be kind. Like, hello.
Yeah.
So who's next?
I'm gonna turn this a little bit, but I'm gonna turn this to like what not to say, but what you should say. Like, I feel like being pregnant, like I was not one of those people who like felt gorgeous pregnant. Like I didn't mind it. Like it was whatever. I was pregnant. I had good pregnancies. I can't complain. But I wasn't like, oh my God. I did feel great until I exploded. Like I felt like great because people are like, oh, you know, like how far along are you? Like what you were just talking about, like the size wise. But like when I was like large and in charge, it was not cute, like at all. So like I feel like paying a pregnant woman a compliment, not about her size, but on like you're glowing, you look beautiful. Like
your
I
hair
feel like makes us feel good because we feel like shit. And if you
I also think it's really important to say, instead of saying you look beautiful, I think it's super important. Yeah, not to cut you, but it's super important to say you are beautiful, because I don't think that like we don't have to stop on their looks, right? Like we want them to know in general that they are a beautiful person.
And like I just feel like if like I feel like more comments were made about like you said about how big I was versus like, oh, like you are glowing. Even lie to me. Like to be honest, just lie to me. Like just tell me though, just make me feel better, because I did not feel great.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I wasn't like saying that to go against you or anything.
I understand where you're coming from, but I feel like if you don't know the person, like if you're at a store, like, and then you're
that's
what I'm talking about. Like not just not somebody you know, but like I've seen plenty of women where I see them and I'm like, oh my God, you look radiant, or you look so beautiful.
Listen, what's so funny is Lindsay, which this is off the hot topic, but I have to say it because it's on my mind. Someone just the other day was saying they wish people would say you look pretty, you look beautiful. Just because they feel like you are beautiful is a more reflection on the inside, which everyone wants to be told that. But she was like, I feel like I'm ugly, and I feel like people use you are such a beautiful person, or you are so beautiful, like as a cop out. And I was like,
see,
I've never heard that.
I want to teach my daughter to exactly hear like what you just said and never ever second guess it. Like that's the issue, is that too many people have learned that you are pretty and you look pretty are two different things.
I did not realize that. I'm now thinking like, what in the world? But I get it. She was like, and you know, she was like, I feel like people want to pay a compliment because they mean well, but the cop out is but you are so beautiful, not you look beautiful. Like it's like she said it's like their
personality.
That's my issue.
She said it's like they're staring at her and they can't say she looks beautiful because they're looking and they don't think that. So they say you are. And
I don't know who that person is, but I want that person to know that I think that they are a beautiful person and that they don't need to be so concerned about with who does or doesn't think that they're pretty.
Right,
outside.
yeah. And I think there's different levels of this. This would be a whole episode in itself.
Yeah.
I also feel like, we of course want to be and look sexy and beautiful,
But I think
anyways, mine.
Yeah, no, but I think society so often wants everyone to feel like, if you're not saying you are pretty, then that means that you're not pretty. So that's what I'm trying to not to do.
Right.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. We can do a whole episode on that stuff. That's actually a good topic.
Yeah.
And so mine's really easy, and especially coming from the gestational diabetes one. This is funny. Just don't ever comment on what they're eating, okay? Like, don't comment on what they're eating. Like, I don't know, because with
how many cheesecakes did you down?
I feel like my husband
don't worry about it. Don't worry about how
many
many cheesecakes. Or people would be like, if I get like a double dipped ice cream cone, aren't you gestation? I'm like, yes, I am.
Right. You have a whole other layer. I didn't even think of that because I didn't have to I just had people, my husband was mostly like, really? You want that right now? And I'm like, yeah, I want that right now.
Right. I just think in general, like whether you want it now, whether you want that weird combo, whether you want a lot of it, whether you want the bad stuff, just no comments whatsoever about what she's putting in her mouth. Unless it's like somebody else's pee-pee. Okay, worry about stuff.
Okay, on that note, you guys, it has been a fun. You guys, this is not the end of this pregnancy conversation. We're definitely we're definitely gonna. I think we'd really love to bring on a guest who has a lot of knowledge within this field to get that side, that perspective. So that will be coming later on down the line. Look for that. We're not done with this, but we are done for today's episode. So everybody,
if you're not subscribed and you're watching, please subscribe. Please
let us know
that
you're pretty on the outside and the inside if you subscribe. Anyway, have a great night. Enjoy a cocktail, and we will see you guys all next week.